What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another stream. Today is the 3rd of October. It's Thursday. It's the day before NFP. Right, so as you know, every first Friday of the month we have NFP, and tomorrow is going to be an important one. It's the first NFP after the Fed started this new cycle of cutting rates. So, and in my opinion, and also the Fed mentioned that, is that the unemployment is going to be one of the most important labor data to see if we eventually are going to have a soft or a hard landing. At this point, the Fed is betting on a soft landing. Basically, almost everyone actually is predicting a soft landing. We'll see if that's going to happen or not. So this week, that's basically the data that we've been getting from the US. We had job openings back to 8 million, right? So better than expected. ADP non-farm employment change as well, higher than expected. Unemployment claims around the same. So anything around between 220 and 230. It's that's the average where we have been throughout this year. And then tomorrow we have NFP. Mike is expecting 148k new jobs. So let's see if that's going to happen. And a 4.2% unemployment, where the Fed predicted that the maximum, the peak, would be at around 4.4% by not even the end of this year, but kind of around next year. So let's see. That's the big question mark that I'm not sure if that's going to play out like that, but we'll see. With time, we'll be paying attention to it. So again, based on what we mentioned, on what we're looking for in here on the dollar index, especially for today's session, we're looking for price to either gain some momentum or kind of just range a little bit in anticipation for tomorrow, like to be one of the two, either a complete range without really much going on, or maybe some kind of momentum. And we had a little bit of the range. However, there was an important factor in here, which was, 1 second, just bring my pencil, which was the fact that dollar index actually managed to break the high, right? So we've been waiting for dollar index to break this high, and this for me makes it bullish. All right, this for me opens the door, or starts opening the door for the dollar index to start moving to the upside. It doesn't mean that's going to happen tomorrow. All right, that doesn't mean that's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we can have actually a deep retracement back to these lows, somewhere in here. But I do think that maybe this can start opening the door to the upside, and we can maybe play out a few scenarios to see what we can expect for tomorrow's NFP. So there you go. We broke the highs. Price just was compressing, and it continues this compression to the upside. All right. So basically, how this move to the upside, it has been in a strong compression, which means that if price by any chance actually moves to the downside, it can actually make a deep retracement back to this level in here. All right. We have maybe this level somewhere in here. Everything is compressing here. Maybe something in there, and all of a sudden we go into this level, right? To go below these lows in here, right? So, and nothing bad. There's not many news better than NFP to actually make that big push to the downside in case dollar wants to do that. Where from, right? That's the question mark. Is now we need to start looking to the left side to try to see somewhere around this level where maybe the dollar index can actually react from and push the downside, if that's the idea, right? So again, let's just take a look into how many days in a row we have been bullish on the dollar. So yeah, basically the full week, right? We open bullish 1, 2, 3, 4, basically since Monday that we have been quite bullish. Looking at the weekly candle so far, as you can see, it's quite strong after basically 3-4 weeks moving to the downside. And we still have this level in here on a weekly candle. This is kind of still a level that can hold price somewhere around this structure. So perhaps that's where price is going to find some resistance around this area in here. So that's something to bear in mind. I do believe that tomorrow morning with the London Open, we may have, yeah, we'll see, right? But it could be basically the top or the bottom, depending on which asset you are looking for. But it could be the top straight away of the session. Price could start pushing to downside, and then with NFP just reinforcing that move in that direction. So that's going to be something that I'll be trying to pay attention to straight away with the London Open. Try to position myself straight away in the morning, and then play out with the move for the US for the NFP. I think that can can happen tomorrow. Can be one of those NFPs that price could pick straight away since the London session and then go all the way. But of course, we need to see PI in here. Now, yes, this is an important level that dollar index just broke, and after we managed to break an important level, usually that's the moment that actually you have some kind of retracement before maybe price continues to go into that direction. So that's mostly what I'm going to be looking for. Now, euro dollar didn't really manage to break the lows. If you notice, euro dollar is still respecting the demand zone, so it didn't really manage to break this the respective structure that dollar index just broke. So that's something to bear in mind. Euro dollar at this point is lagging a little bit in relation to the dollar index. So yeah, so on the weekly time frame, we may have a little bit of that structure that maybe price can react from. To be honest, when I look at it just in the lower time frame, not really stands out to me. We do have this previous support resistance. That's one level in there. Yeah, not really much going on, to be honest, in here. Yeah, we'll see. There's maybe that structure still a little bit above. There's maybe this previous demand zone that price just broke it. Sometimes that can be levels where our price ends up reacting from. Yeah. Now, for price to start moving to the downside in here, something like that could happen, right? And by the way, guys, if you are watching, let me know in the comments what you think about the dollar for tomorrow and if you are trading the NFP. If you actually trade the NFP or if you just decide that you don't really like to trade these the NFP days. Just let me know what you like to do on FP days. Yeah, so something that I could start paying attention to a potential sell opportunity in here on the dollar. It will be if price starts to break this structure in here. All right, so if price starts breaking a little bit of this structure in here, start opening the door a little bit to the downside, then that would be the PI that I would like to see for price to move to the downside in here. So yes, it could break now from here. Then during the Asian session, maybe make a little bit more of a move to the upside again. And then, yeah, maybe even fake out these highs one more time, or even just respect this level, to be honest. And then you could have, with the London Open, we could have something like that. Price then breaks maybe a little bit more of a structure, then you could have something like this with the NFP push up. All right, so if by any chance I'm looking for the highs to be created during the London session, what I want to see is that I would like to see the highs being created, all right, to with some fresh level somewhere in there. Just rephrase this. All right, so something like that. Maybe with this level in here behind, this level in here behind, maybe price still respects that level, continues to go lower, and in the morning, so somewhere in here, this is London session, then kind of in the morning, price goes and breaks maybe some structure in here, so at least gets into this compression here, somewhere in there, or even maybe breaking something in there, and then quickly just goes up and down during the NFP. All right, during the moment of the NFP, just does something like that, and then drops. So that will be a little bit of the play that I would like to see for tomorrow NFP, in case actually the top is going to be created during the London session in here. So again, it depends on the PA. At this point, I still don't really know where the PA is going to happen. We can even break new highs. So that's something just to bear in mind. But it will be something like that I would like to see playing out for tomorrow session. In here, at this point, price is still respecting this basic trend line, and more importantly, this demand zone. Like, so that's the level that the zone that I would like to see being broken for price to start opening the door to go further down. And that's my take on the dollar index. And then we will go to take a look into the euro dollar and pound dollar, just to see a little bit more in detail what we can expect to look for the trade. All right, so moving along. In here, looking at the US indices, right? So this is what we have predicted also since last week. All right, so we started to turn bearish a little bit on the US indices, most likely because of what happened at the levels that we finally reached on Nasdaq. So that was something that we talked about. And in my opinion, this low in here, the break of this low in here, is still a push, or kind of opens the door to go further down. Interesting enough, Dow finally managed to break below that level as well today. So Nasdaq broke 2 days ago, S&P broke yesterday, and the Dow actually broke it today. So in my opinion, there's a little bit more room to the downside. There's definitely this level in here that price can still respect. So based on my analysis since yesterday, nothing has changed. Actually, just one thing that has changed is that price actually now respected the left shoulder from here. So this actually, price starts to go from here, turns it actually a little bit bullish, and which means that we may have a new high being created before we actually end up turning to the downside or respecting this engulf down in here. All right, so that's a scenario in here. If you just make another leg down, we'll see. At this point, as long as price doesn't really get closer to some structure around this level, I'm bearish, and I would like to see price getting, yeah, I would like to see price filling this price in here on the S&P. Yeah, so nothing changed. Basically, today's price action was just within this range, so nothing really changed in terms of what to expect. It will be even better again to turn properly bearish, a proper break, a proper move down, and price then maybe with the NFP just a spike up, and then it would go right. That could happen in here. On the other side is that we do have this double top, and having a double top like this, it can be a little bit attractive for eventually have a fake out of this level. So price, I could see it having get some kind of reaction from here, but maybe it's just a small reaction before price actually attract more sales into here before we have another high and then eventually turn. So those are just a few zones in here on the S&P. So we'll see what's going to happen. Nasdaq slightly different because Nasdaq still has the highs in here. They are still fresh. So again, these marks in here is basically levels that I could expect price to, or I'm expecting price to react from. These levels that I have drawn in here in green. So as you can see, do have basically the same supply level, but the highs are still fresh. Right? We created this mid-range in the middle without really getting closer to that level. So price can accumulate or kind of attract more sellers into here and just fake out that level without the need to break new highs. But again, the zone is the same. So basically price broke that level, but now it keeps respecting this structure in here. We actually already managed to break this high today. So that's something new that happened, which might take us a little bit to the upside before potential move down, and the gap is the same. I could have the same structure in here that I would like to see at least price to fill, and if price starts breaking below that level, then we have all the space to go somewhere into here. So that's a little bit of what I'm going to be looking for, and yeah, this again could happen quite quickly, right? Again, in terms of the data itself, so we are expecting 142k new jobs. Based on what the Fetcher Powell mentioned, is that we're expecting another 50 basis points until the end of the year. So basically 25 in November, 25 in December. And if we do have the numbers are worse than expected, maybe that's going to accelerate the Fed to cut rates more aggressively, right? That would be one of the aspects that would change the fact or be a big factor for the Fed to start cutting rates more aggressively, maybe 50 basis points already in November. So we are back into the situation where maybe good news, for example, if we do have bad news and the numbers are much worse than expected, maybe the market can react eventually as positive, because we may see the Fed cutting more aggressively. But on the other side, in my opinion, unemployment is is the data that actually can be the differential between eventually have a hard landing or not. And I don't really like the idea of having kind of unemployment starting to rise too quickly, and that can actually be then a concern. So we'll see. Maybe it's going to play out immediately in one way, but then in the next few days or so may actually realize that the data may not be as good as that. If the data is just really good, then maybe we have, then for sure the Fed's not going to cut with 50 basis points in November, but the market may celebrate those numbers. So that's a little bit of, again, we'll see, right? It's always about the interpretation of the market, not exactly just the numbers, and what's actually the big play in here that they are looking at, which is still the rate cuts, like how much of how aggressive or quick the Fed's going to be cutting rates. But moving along, again, my view in here on the S&P and the Nasdaq. Again, Nasdaq, why did we are looking for the sales, or why we have been waiting for the sales? We were looking for Nasdaq to approach these levels in here, right? So that's what I've been waiting, and we mentioned last week or almost 10 days ago that once price would get closer to this level in here, all right, that will be starting to see some sell pressure in the indices. That's exactly what happened. All right, so that's exactly what happened. That was basically 1 week ago or something like that, on 26th of September, after basically wanted to see price faking out these highs, right? So that's eventually what happened. And now we have sell pressure. Now price starting to break some structure in here. So it starts to show some signs to the downside. Now, is this the high? Is there any chance that maybe price still wants to go, maybe react from this level and continue to go to the upside? Perhaps that can happen. All right. And maybe price wants to go a little bit closer to the extreme instead of just pausing in here. Even though this level is really good, but there's of course still the chance that price may still wants to go there before looking for a bigger move to the downside. All right. So I'm not really still 100% certain that this is going to be just the high in here. All right. I could still see price eventually getting closer to a zone slightly above. Looking at the Dow. All right. Let's just zoom in a little bit more into our time frame. Yeah. So Dow, we have been looking for this structure in here that price has been respecting. In reality, maybe price still respect this low, but I think this is the one that actually maybe broke. Yeah, it actually managed to break below this low in there. So that's interesting. Starts opening that door to the downside again. Now I'm not really looking to trade this one. I don't really like the PA just that you have in here. Price will keep respecting these left shoulders in here, but I don't really like between Nasdaq and S&P at this point. I would actually prefer to trade one of those two instead of the Dow. But yes, we could start looking a little bit more to downside. This one is already a break of a low as well, so that's nice. But maybe price could just respect this level first. If you start breaking to the downside, then you can continue to go a bit lower. But yeah, just this high in here. Yeah, we'll see if that's even going to be the high or not. Then you have DAX as well, just made the big move to downside, basically filling that space that you're looking for. All right, so when price starting to break this structure in here, we're starting to look further down, and especially after breaking this level, it literally opens the door for price to go all the way into here, right? So initially we could have this support resistance around this level, price respected a little bit from that level, but then this is now the next zone in here that we are looking for. And yeah, so that's it. Let's see now how the DAX is going to react from here, if it's going to gain some momentum or not. We are compressing. I can see that price is literally compressing. We start breaking a little bit of a high, so that's a little bit of a sign of strength now from the buyers. So we'll see. We are getting really close. We have this gap. Not really sure if this exists or not, but in this data feed we have this gap. So maybe price wants to close that gap, and then we may find some buy pressure in here. Otherwise, we start looking for the level underneath. Like again, the same green line, the drawings, they are levels that I could see eventually price react from in here. All right, so and everything in between is basically spaces that I would like to see price filling in here. All right, so let's see if price starts breaking, then maybe we could have a turn and maybe start pushing price back into something in here. All right, so that's DAX in here. Again, the situation in Eurozone is not the best, far from it. The economy in Germany as well is not the best. So yeah, eventually it doesn't really make sense seeing DAX constantly breaking new all-time highs, but it is what it is in here. Looking at crypto is at an interesting level now. So we feel the spice that we were looking for. And Bitcoin and Ethereum basically are at levels where you could start seeing some buy pressure, right? So we are back at this structure. Price is compressing. Actually, we started already to break some highs in here as well. So let's see if this level actually managed to hold price and price starts to go to the upside. Now that we basically are back at the 60K mark after being at 66. Price reacted from that level that we mentioned that we were looking for. Good reaction. We noticed the compression as well. So yeah, that happened. And now price basically fill all this price. So question mark now is how price is going to react from here. Okay, if you start breaking some structure in here, then we can maybe push along from here. Otherwise, if price starts breaking below that level, not really sure if it's going to stop in here. Maybe we can start looking even further down. But we'll see. I don't like this level for a potentially start looking for longs a little bit similar on Ethereum as well. So basically fill all this price. It's another one, like it's a clear level in here that we had. Basically this is the beginning of this move to the upside. Price eventually starts turning. Great reaction from a level that we mentioned as well, and then starts turning, breaks low, and then just fills the spice, like respecting the spice that is available. And now we are back in here. So let's see, it starts to compress as well. So start to see some buy pressure at around this level. So let's see if we're going to have some kind of move like this from here and eventually try to challenge again those highs or not, right? But it's a good one zone at around this level. Maybe we can even, again, somewhere around this level in here, we could start seeing some some buy pressure. Otherwise, price starts going further down, and all of a sudden we may have these lows at risk. In the bigger picture, to be honest, I think I'm still bearish in here. All right, I do consider that this low is an go to the downside. I would like to see price at least filling this price all the way until there. So there's maybe this level in here to look for. So that's a bit more bigger picture. I think Ethereum wants to go lower and potentially even filling out this range and go even closer to this level. But again, don't really need to rush into there. I think initially you can retest this 2K mark level in there. So that's just something to pay attention in here on Ethereum. Yeah, so again, we are looking at an interesting zone in there. And now looking at the FX, like starting with the Euro Index, we always look at Euro Index and the Yen Index as well, aside from Dollar Index. So Euro Index did manage to respect these lows in here, interesting enough. Pushing to the upside again, eventually I would like this Euro Index to get closer to this level. Let's see if eventually we're going to get there or not. Again, overall, we have been in this range on the Euro Index, right? So again, when you're looking at the different Euro pairs, we see different types of moves, and that's why we are basically stuck within this range in here. So again, not really much to say at this point. Usually the best times to actually look at Euro indexes are those weeks just before the ECB, or the week that we actually have the ECB, that can actually help in providing the good direction of where we are looking for. Just bear in mind that this was one ECB. I think one of the other ones was somewhere around these lows or something like that, when price was somewhere in here. So yeah, that can help in terms of predicting the direction. That's the perfect week to have the Euro pairs moving up in alignment. And then you have the Yen pairs. This was a move that we were looking for yesterday. We mentioned maybe if there is a little bit of so price was somewhere in here. 1 second. Price was somewhere in here, and we talked about this demand zone, right? And we talked about in terms of, okay, let's see if price actually respects a little bit the lows, and if price respects the lows, maybe there's a possibility to expect some strength on the Yen index, which means we're looking for shorts on the Euro Yen, Dollar Yen, Pound Yen, and so on. All right. Again, we mentioned as well that it will be just a small retracement, not exactly expecting price to just go all the way and 1 second and start reversing from here. To be initially just a small reaction, because overall price actually looks like it's turning bearish in here. So if you just pay attention to this high, we had a move to the downside, right? Then price came out the way, but respected still the high, and now we actually have a new low being broken in here, which turns a little bit more to like bearish. To be honest, we had retracement, and now we are basically just retesting this level. So it looks like that we are more in a move like this, right? Creating this bearish momentum, which means that we need to be careful or cautious a little bit of how to trade this low in here. Now we did manage to break a little bit above this high. As you can see, price is struggling to actually gain momentum to the upside in here. So that's something to also to be or to pay attention to. We'll see if you're going to have a little bit of a move in here, or price will just retest a little bit these lows and eventually kind of taking the lows in there. If you're looking left, where can you expect price? Basically, price already is reacting from that demand zone. Then we are starting to look a little bit further down in here on the Euro index. Sorry, on the Yen index. All right. Yeah, if you start breaking properly a little bit more of the highs, then you can maybe use this structure, right? It's going to be interesting to see how price is going to play out around this range in here. All right, what kind of manipulation is going to play? I can expect a push either to the upside or downside. So one of the two is going to happen. Let's see which one happens first, and then which one then respects the level and try to go. Right, that's going to be interesting. Like something like that could also happen, if that's the idea. All right. Yeah, there was also some comments in Japan. I think the prime minister now also talking with the governor of the Bank of Japan, kind of trying to be a bit more conservative in terms of the approach, not really looking for any more hikes at the moment, to see actually some clear change or evolution of the economy before actually having the need to have to go for another hike in the interest rate in Japan. And that was another factor that made the yen pairs move in here. Now, looking at the individual currency pairs, right? So we are going to start looking in here for the euro dollar. All right, so again, it was one of those days. So again, a lot of compression. We are looking the same way that we're looking on the dollar index to reach the highs. We're looking for the euro dollar to reach these lows. And as I mentioned, euro dollar hasn't really managed to break below this structure, right? So we're still respecting the demand zone. We made that strong push to downside in here, and price basically just turning. Again, we definitely need to have these highs being broken before starting to look to the upside. Again, it's a strong compression. I could eventually see this low being faked out or broken, but I can also see it being respected, right? So that's going to be the key level or key factor in here. I do like this demand zone in here that was left behind, so that's one to pay attention to. And that's going to be about tomorrow morning, about the London Open. Hopefully, the turn is going to happen around the London Open and not during the Asian session. Sometimes they do kind of turn, and it tends to be actually at around 2:30 a.m. For some reason, that's a time of the day that tends to happen a lot of the reversals, basically the tops and the bottoms, or the highs and the lows. So hopefully that's not going to happen tomorrow, and we are going to have the opportunity to trade at the bottoms or at close to the lows during the London session. But the analysis, the perspective is the same. It's basically just the inverted situation or prediction on the dollar index in here. If prices want to go slightly lower, there's maybe a little bit of a zone just underneath, and then we are going to start looking for price to go even further down. If prices want to go further down from here, all right? The highs, they look really good, all right? So these highs look really good. That was a move that happened basically Tuesday, right? When you finally had the momentum to the downside. And now, yeah, now we have basically a little bit of this range that you can trade within. And I think that's going to happen. All right, I'll be surprised if price doesn't really retest at least this level. You can even break the lows first, maybe then retest and then maybe go. We'll see. Right, so that's something to pay attention in here. Yeah, but breaking this low starts opening the door to go definitely further down in there. But yeah, I'm not taking any decision now. I'm going to be waiting for tomorrow's session. Pound, we mentioned that pound was lagging a little bit in terms of the move, especially comparing with yesterday's move. So price was just kind of still ranging a little bit, but then today, again, the governor of the Bank of England mentioned that there's maybe a possibility of hiking more aggressively in the next meeting, and that was how the pound pairs reacted to it, right? So a strong move to the downside. We saw euro pound just skyrocketing to the moon. We saw basically a strong move. Like this actually moved more than when the interest rate usually comes out. Like this was definitely the market already adjusting for that situation where we may have an aggressive rate cut in the next BOE meeting in here. Right, that was basically what happened. We had literally a 150 pips move in here, and which makes total sense. We were bearish, all right, since we basically start breaking this level and starts going in here. We're looking for price to fill this range, right? This was the next level that we're looking for. I do think that price is still going to create new lows. I don't think price is going to just turn from here, even though basically price is reacting from that previous level of supply turning into demand. But I do believe that price still wants at least react from this level. So we start to have a little bit of an interesting PA in here, because we just literally managed to break highs, and I like to see that. I like to see highs being broken even before price actually reaches the final destination. So we have that happening in here. We have this double bottom in here, which is perfect. Many people are going to be just looking to buy around this level. So we start to create some liquidity around this structure in here to see eventually price moving to the upside, all right, which is exactly what I would like to see. So think or looking for price to get a little bit closer in here, right? Maybe stop there or in here, somewhere around this level. I think maybe could have a little bit of a reaction. Otherwise, we may start looking into the higher time frame to see actually where actually are these lows reacting from, and should be expecting price now to start breaking these lows from this size, right? And that goes into a higher time frame analysis in here, right? Or is this just a continuation, a deep retracement, or a continuation of a strong pound against the dollar? So we'll see. Again, it's a really good level. It's a daily level. It's also kind of a weekly level in there. So it's a good, important zone that we are going to be paying attention to see how the pound is going to be reacting from here. So we may go a little bit inside this level, can even go a little bit closer to that low. Yeah, so that's definitely something to pay attention in here. Yep, otherwise it's just going to create momentum to the downside. Yeah, I actually prefer a little bit more the potential PA in here than on the euro dollar in there. Now euro pound, what a move, right? So there you go. Literally with the compression in here, as really the trend line working, it reacted perfectly from the level that we talked about like for the last 2 weeks. We're looking at that specific demand zone in there. Unfortunately, it reacted from it with that daily open candle, like the candle created at midnight or 10 p.m. Sorry. Yeah, exactly into this demand zone. We have been talking about that, so that was the one. And then even this one as well, it's again the one created at 10 p.m. like literally during the market closing. Euro pound is incredible. Like look at the candles that are creating during the market closing. It's they are literally the best ones. Like you don't get filled in here because the bid is here, the ask is somewhere in there. So you're not going to never get filled in this order with this candle. All right. Yeah, so even though price touch in here, the ask is somewhere in there, right? So you never will get filled in here. Just it is what it is. It's incredible. And then there you go, like literally with the compression, beautiful, boom, momentum to the upside. Where to? There you go, right? So just fill basically all the range into that level. It has a little bit more room to the upside, 100%. It has more room to the upside that price can go towards to, but at this point now we may create a new range in here, right? So that's basically what we just created in here. Unfortunately as well, the comment from the Bank of Governor, actually I think it was the bit in the newspaper, I think the Guardian, it was at around 6 a.m. in the morning, so it was, well, not trading at that time. So that's the euro pound, again, something that we've been looking at. Now looking at the Aussie dollar, right? So again, we fill the space, right? It's another one that we managed to fill the space after strong compression to the upside. Price starts breaking lows, breaks lows as well in there, and now basically fill this initial space that we have in here. Again, we have a strong compression as well to the upside, but maybe from here we may have a reversal. So it's interesting, like just ahead of news as well, we start to see where are we in the bigger picture across the different main pairs. Right now, if all of a sudden maybe dollar index is at a really strong and important supply level, and you have euro dollar, pound dollar, and everything else at a really strong demand zone, maybe we should be expecting to look for longs on the NFP. Right? Or if you do have a strong compression to the downside, all of a sudden maybe some highs being broken, and then maybe it continues the compression, and then price is definitely reacting from maybe a demand zone. When you do have all this compression, that's usually the moment that when price turns, it usually goes in an aggressive way. Like that's usually when you see those big candles being created. And what's the best case or what's the best event to create one of those candles? It's exactly with the NFP. Right? So those are just clues that you can start paying attention to in order to start predicting what to expect, or at least to create the correct bias in here. Like see break of structure, see compression, see where price is reacting on the left side, look at the bigger picture as well, see if there's any fresh level maybe on the 1 hour, 4 hour time frame that maybe price wants to go and spike before the turn. Like pay attention to all those details. So there you go. Aussie as well kind of breaking that height, so that's nice to see, and we'll see. Like we'll see now what's going to happen next. If price basically just going to respect something here and go higher, or It's going to even fake out this low. Yep, and getting somewhere into there. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to follow as well. Do have this trend line, which again we'll see if it's going to keep being respected or not. We have also the other Aussie pairs, and we are looking at Euro Aussie, in particular Euro Aussie. We are waiting for price actually to fake out these lows in here a little bit more into this level. So that's a zone that I'm going to be just being patient and wait for that. Price has been compressing as well, quite aggressive, and today actually decided to move to the upside. Actually managed to start breaking a little bit of these highs. That's nice. We already broke that high as well. Even this one is already breaking there as well. So we start to have some highs being broken, which starts eventually showing this weakness, or kind of in this case strength, right? So price has been moving down. There's a little bit of strength from the buyers, but then price continues to move down. Why? Because again, the space was still in there. But I would actually like to see maybe now the price is attracting more buyers in here. So maybe create a little bit more of a double bottom in there and then have that spike before the turn. That would be my ideal. And even below that, if price decides then to just completely go like this, then we have a little bit more of this structure as well to pay attention to. But yes, I would like at least one more low in here on the Euro Aussie. Let's see if that plays out. We do have this structure in here that maybe it's one of the last zones that price can still be or hold to the downside. As aside from that, almost everything has been taken in there. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. So we do have this move down, maybe Aussie dollar then it's going to go to the upside. Pound Aussie made a bigger move as well because of the pound. So basically it had all that space as well to fill. So it finally is moving in that direction, getting a bit closer to these lows. So that's just something to keep an eye on in here. Then you have New Zealand as well. So New Zealand also breaking and coming all the way down. So we fake out that high. This one in here into that level. So usually again, when you do fake out an important high, like a monthly high like this, usually you see some reaction, and there you go, like you had the fake out and then price start turning. Look at what happened even before that. We had already broken this wall, right? So that's one of the first clues that maybe the sellers are starting to be in control in here, or at least to mark some presence. And then there you go, fake out and go. Like as soon as you break that level, we have this space to fill. This was already in the move to the downside, so you can even continue to go lower. And now we have all this compression in here, and now we may go, or we may getting closer into something in there, right? Maybe this even now break below that. So again, eventually we can even continue to move down. On this side, we can see how strong this compression has been. It's not that price is just moving down aggressively. When you're looking at the daily time frame, it looks like that, right? Really strong bearish daily candles. But when you start going into the lower time frame, for hours as well, maybe there's this zone, that zone. But if you continue to go into further down into the lower time frame, you see a lot of compression here. Like you see price spiking quite a lot. This is one of the best, one of the fresh levels in here. That price can definitely go under test. Again, it's basically this previous level in alignment with there. So that looks nice for price eventually to fill that level. And at this point, I'm just looking for price to actually go and fake out below these lows in here. Yeah, I may have this level where price is reacting right now, but I would like to see price making a bit more of a further move down, and then it could turn and target maybe that level in there. So that's something to bear in mind in here on the New Zealand. Again, it's another dollar pair that we may be getting closer to a potential along after moving to downside throughout our week. Looking at the Aussie yen, right? So yeah, so we had a little bit of that move to the upside on the yen index, which made this yen, the Aussie yen to the pushing to the outside. Again, great reaction. That's a level that we had. Great reaction from that supply. Again, the move, there you go, there's those 430, 415 kind of, which means 230 to 215 in the morning British time. There you go. Again, this time for some reason it tends to work quite nicely, and I don't know why. It's just what I've realized from analyzing the market. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a reaction from here. That would be nice. Potentially we can have a sell opportunity from there. That's where I'm going to be looking for price to eventually come all the way until here and eventually potentially go to downside. Again, the level on the left side is good. That level in there, so we could have a little bit more of a deep retracement in here, but overall, as you can see, we are kind of creating a little bit more of a bullish momentum in here, with price breaking new highs and not really managing to break new lows. But yes, but price could even try to challenge a little bit to get into this structure in here. So that's something to bear in mind. And yes, so with a good PA, we may have a sell opportunity in there. The other yen pairs, right? So we continue with the dollar yen now. Price actually managed to break above this level. So again, maybe looking a bit more for a bullish momentum in here. We are within this full compression zone. Eventually price to get closer to there or there. So those are a bit of the next levels that I'm going to be looking for in here on the dollar yen. There was a lot of volatility in here. That was a good reaction with the news, but price apparently keeps respecting this demand zone. So if we start breaking below this level in here, again, we kind of managed to break below that level, but this could be considered the level that actually matters, because this is the one that actually managed to break and sustain price above the level that broke in here on the left side. But yeah, as long as price now keeps respecting above this level, then you continue to look for more longs in here. By any chance price starts breaking below this level, then we could start looking for a potential turn in here, at least some retracement back somewhere into this level after the strong move that we had yesterday. But definitely we could definitely pick out the highs and then have that move. Like we have a double top, which is always nice to see, to attract liquidity. Euro yen was actually a good PA. If I was just looking at the charts within this area, it could have been a great short somewhere in there, and even kind of one of these levels as well. Right? We are trading within this range. It's true that basically price filled the target straight away on the first move down. Got really close to this extreme. So when it retraced this level again, I didn't really manage to break anything, so basically the space was filled. But when I'm looking a bit more into the higher time frame, I still don't really like where price is reacting. Like it's reacting a little bit from this next structure. It's okay, but I would prefer actually to see price getting a little bit closer to these highs. So I think that this is maybe just price pausing a little bit, maybe attracting sellers into here before making that move upwards, even if the intention is to move to downside. Like at least maybe to pause until eventually can turn when it's reacting from that level in there, which again it's a great zone where we are reacting in here. So yeah, I didn't really wanted to be involved in here just because of where we were on the left side. But if you are just trading this PA alone, what's going on in here, this was a nice move in here. So yeah, a little bit more to the upside. We had pound yen. Pound yen was the one that created the biggest move to downside, again because of the pound pairs. Right, and again, the pound yen is exactly what I mentioned in terms of the euro yen. Pound yen actually got closer to this level, so euro yen is basically kind of trading somewhere in here. Pound yen start getting closer into this range in there, and then it turned. Right, and now it was even a bigger move to downside, getting closer now to this next structure in here. So yeah, different dynamic now on the pound yen. Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen next in here. CAD yen, I think it's also quite interesting. All right, so CAD yen is literally reacting from this high. So we'll see. It has actually a left shoulder in here, so that's nice because price reacted from that level. There's kind of a quasi mode in here. The reality is that I would have turned much more bearish in here if this were actually may have broken something important on the left side. But he didn't, right? Which you respect the extreme. So are you going to continue to range around this level, or eventually going to have new highs and maybe price getting closer to that level? That's a little bit of the question mark in here on the pound yen. Yes, I do like this level still. So price, it actually managed to break below that level, did it? Yeah, so we managed to break below this level, so that's nice. Managed to break below this level in here, start opening a bit more the room to the downside, and it still has that one at the highs. Like I think there's still some fresh orders somewhere around here above this line, so that will be something that I'll be paying attention to. We can even create a new low just to attract even more sellers around this level, and then you could have that push in here. I think this could be a possibility in here on the CAD yen, so I'm going to be paying attention to see how CAD yen is going to react from these highs in here. Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one for sure. Looking at CAD dollar, right? So USD CAD, good reaction from this level, and now we continue with the bullish, a little bit more of a momentum in here. Right, so nice reaction from the demand. That was kind of what we saw yesterday. Good momentum in here, a little bit of manipulation up and down, basically breaking finally above this structure, fake out a little bit, and now it can continue to go into the next level in here. So yeah, eventually we can even target that zone, but first and foremost we have this one in here to pay attention to. Yeah, so that's something in here on the dollar CAD. Again, I'm not going to be really active looking for this. I prefer to wait for price to get into the extremes, but it's nice to see that it's moving a little bit. We had also pound CAD, so pound CAD literally just made the move to the downside. So we were somewhere in here yesterday, and there you go. Like another one just fills the space, another big move to the downside because of what happened, the comment that happened in terms of the Bank of England. And there you go, really strong move. It just filled the range. Like we're looking at the 180 pips move, and now reacting from the demand zone. So this is also something to pay attention. Tomorrow we may have a potential turn in here on the pound CAD, if that's the idea again. Here, like it's switching with every level as well. It's like it's a weekly as well in here. So that's going to be an important one. It's basically the origin of this move to the upside. If it starts breaking below that, then starts opening the door to go way further down. So yeah, we'll see how price may react from here. So far the reaction is not bad. Price actually is respecting the zone. Already created kind of in here a potential Quasimodo, start breaking new highs as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if this actually holds. It starts pushing price upwards. EuroCAD. Yeah, EuroCAD, after taking the low yesterday, it was actually reacting perfectly from that level. It starts to turn a little bit. Again, in my opinion, this is still an engulf to the downside. Okay, I think that price still wants to go further down. This is not trying. They're not trying. Second. Okay, it's working now. So yeah, nice move in here. Broke to the upside, fake out the low, now kind of challenging at that level. That's a little bit of a reversal pattern that's playing out in here. So we'll see if we want to have that deep retracement from here, or if price will just continue to push to the downside. So that's going to be an interesting one to pay attention. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to pay attention in here. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. What's next? Dollar franc Swiss, right? So we started to finally have that momentum. It still needs the confirmation to break this last high, right? Even though that high for me, it's already kind of an engulf to the upside. Then price just retested these lows and went. But we finally managed to break this trend line, right? So we were literally yesterday waiting for price to break that trend line, and it starts happening today. All right, so we have that one. Price already retested basically the trend line. It already went up again, and we are looking now to see how price breaks this structure here. And when it does, maybe going to have finally a momentum in here, and the dollar franc Swiss going closer to that level in there. We have the structure here, but that could eventually happen in here on the dollar franc Swiss. So that's definitely something to pay attention. We have that momentum to the upside. Oops. All right, gold just continues to stay within the range. Maybe it's waiting as well for tomorrow's news. Collecting some, yeah, reacted from that level. Again, why is this not working in here? Yeah, it's not working. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working. Whatever. Yeah, it just stays the same. Right, it stays the same. I'm not really trading gold at this point in terms of the all-time highs. So it could create a new all-time high. Maybe tomorrow with the news, it can definitely do that. The same way that maybe can have a retracement from here. Price respected quite nice with this demand zone. Yeah, so basically filled out this initial spice in here. If price actually had broken below that level, I'll be a bit more bearish. Definitely that price can fake out this highs in here in the middle, and yep, and maybe still respect the high and then push down. Same way that price can just fake out as well in here as well, and then maybe respect a little bit of this zone. Price is breaking low, so yeah, unfortunately I'm not able to do something in here, but somewhere around, yeah, somewhere around this level in here could be interesting. Somewhere maybe around here. I'll definitely prefer to see price going higher. I'm not going to bother to do that. Yeah, so that's something in there. And then you have silver, which is back at the highs again. Silver managed to respect. What's going on, right? Not. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Whatever. Yeah, cannot really do the drawings now. Yeah, silver may go higher again. This ending move to the upside. Price broke those highs in here, just respecting from some level in the middle. In here, I don't really think this is the final destination. I think silver wants to go higher, a bit more bullish in here, and price respected perfectly this, basically the demand zone in there. So there's not exactly any move to the downside. If price had broken below these lows, I'll be open to the possibility of a deep retracement. But price actually respected. Now, yes, it's trending within this level. In here, basically that level is holding price is 32 point, basically 32.3. So yeah, we'll see. But overall, I think I'm still a bit more bullish in here on silver than anything else. And then we have oil, just to conclude, like a big move to the upside on oil. Again, the situation in the Middle East is going to continue to create this volatility in the oil markets. We saw, I think it was Biden that was in talks with Israel to potentially target Iran. I think it was the oil infrastructure from Iran. So that definitely created that spike in here in the market, right? And that's going to be again a continuation of the event. So if you're trading oil, be careful, because we are going to have that increase of volatility all of a sudden. Like, it's not going to be related to the news, or it's not going to be announced in the calendar list, like in the Forex factory. No, that's going to happen all of a sudden. So again, it's interesting that price keeps respecting the level. So we kind of went all the way into the supply, respected, kind of basically just reacted from the previous level support resistance in here, and then it moved. Right, so that's interesting to see. Yeah, and at this point it starts to turn bullish. Like, again, we were at these lows, price reacted perfectly. That was an entity I was looking slightly lower, never really got there. Price just turned, respected the supply in there. But this was already kind of a break to the upside. Price now filling that range, and it can continue to move to the upside from here. Like, it can definitely continue to move to the upside, but how is that going to happen? We will see. I for sure can maybe retest this well one more time. You can even retest this zone one more time as well if that's the idea. All right, you can even retest this zone in here as well if it wants to. So it's going to be interesting. Then above this level, we may have a little bit of this level, but then it starts opening the door for price actually to go all the way. Yeah, it can start opening the door to go much higher. Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on as well, which is going to be interesting. And again, it's a unique pair. It's a unique asset. If you want to trade something that is totally uncorrelated with the major pairs that you are looking for, either the indices or anything related to $0, pound dollar, or whatever, or even the N pairs, you can trade oil because even the moments of the big moves, they are not happening at the same time. Even the reaction to the news is not the same in here. Yeah, looking at Brent, same thing. Like, so Brent also went all the way. It's already actually even breaking. So Brent is actually already leading the way, breaking this high in here, and also about to break that structure. So that's nice to see as well. In here, again, the reaction in here at slows was exactly the same. It's annoying. Not being able to draw is driving me crazy. Why I'm not allowed to draw? Yeah, I'm not sure. Why not allowing me to draw? Nevertheless, continuation to the upside. It looks like that you are going to go slightly higher in here. Yeah, potential retest of this level and then move higher, or can even go all the way deep and then continue. All right, so yeah, where it go. What I'm going to be looking for is maybe a little bit more momentum, and then to start seeing some weakness, and then potentially look for the short in here. So yeah, that's basically it. So if we actually now go back into 1 second, connect. Yeah, so that's basically it for today. So just to recap, and what I'm going to be looking for tomorrow during the NFP, dollar index just broke an important structure. All right, it broke these highs, which means, in my opinion, that it starts to show indication that it wants to go higher. But before it actually starts creating this continuation of the bullish momentum that we have seen throughout this week, we may actually have a deep retracement, which sometimes happens after price breaks such an important level. So in particular, I'm looking to see if price managed to hold this level to the upside, or if it starts breaking below this level, I can see a retracement, and that's going to be for tomorrow London session. It can be one of those NFP where the London session is going to be the top, the high or the low of the day. So that's going to be something that I will be paying attention to. I explained during the stream already what's the PI that I would like to see for that to happen. So again, focus on tomorrow morning for the London Open. On the euro dollar, there's the situation where we haven't really managed to break this respective demand. Dollar index managed to break these highs. The euro dollar didn't really manage to break the lows, so it's still at that demand level. The same thing with the pound dollar, the same thing with the Aussie dollar. New Zealand is also getting closer as well. So we are going ahead. We are approaching the NFP, where we can see many of these dollar pairs at the demand zones. We also notice that price has been compressing in the last few days, even though it's moving in one direction. It's a compression way. So that can lead eventually for price to turn tomorrow. Like the market has been moving in just one direction this week. We'll see if it's going to continue that momentum, or if we're going to have a full reversal in here. The indices, right now we are looking at US indices. Price, in my opinion, it has still a little bit of space to downside to fill, and you have interesting levels at the highs where price can react from. As I mentioned, S&P, we could potentially even see a new high before moving to downside. On Nasdaq, I could see the high still holding, but more importantly, this is the gap that I'm looking for price to fill. If it starts breaking even below this level, it opens even more room to the downside in here. These marks in here in green is basically levels that I could see price reacting from. Crypto also, Bitcoin and Ethereum this time, actually I'm curious to see how price may react from here. Maybe going to find some buy pressure at around these levels, so that's something to pay attention to in here. DAX also approaching an interesting level, so looking at the indices as well, it's DAX. DAX also approaching this demand zone in here. That's basically the last decision point that made this last push to the upside. So we are approaching that level, we are in this compression as well, so we'll see how price may react from here. Otherwise, price could go further down, and then could have some more reaction at the highs if it wants to go there. So those are a little bit of the assets that I'm going to be paying attention to for tomorrow. I don't like that price is approaching important levels on top of the NFP, so that's going to be interesting. Looking at the end pairs as well, that's going to be another one to see if it's going to continue to hold these lows and potentially go to the upside, which means that you're going to have the sell opportunities on the individual yen pairs, right? Or on the other side, if you're actually going to continue the momentum in here to downside, which means that dollar yen, euro yen, and so on would actually move upwards in here, right? So again, this still needs a bit more of price action confirmation. But yeah, most importantly, I think I'm going to focus tomorrow with the main yen dollar pairs to see if you're going to have an opportunity straight away during the London session to look for a long on the euro dollar, pound dollar, especially if those demand levels still hold. So that's going to be my take, which means that looking for shorts on the dollar index, even though it just broke the highs and I'm still looking for continuation to the upside, I could see a retracement before price eventually continues with this in this direction. Yeah, so again, thank you guys. If you got value from this video, feel free to subscribe. I go live every day at 7 p.m. to do the pre-market analysis. In my opinion, preparation is a key factor to be consistent and disciplined and eventually to become a consistent profitable trader. So feel free to join. We can look at the charts together. We can look for opportunities together in here. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, and good luck for tomorrow again. Respect risk management. Don't go all in. Don't get crazy with the NFP. Only if you actually see A+ setup, a really good opportunity, then you can take advantage of it. Otherwise, don't really trade, especially on top of the news, right? And that's why I mentioned that ideally I would like to see straight away an opportunity in the morning, because that could help me to position myself accordingly. Most likely I would reach some of the targets that I have, so I would already take some positions out, or partially close some part of my position, and that would allow me to be risk-free ahead of the news. Again, thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.